This is a great way to go from the bottom back, so the back position off the bottom, like a Newaza or guard position, bottom guard, into a top ride where you basically, you want to get his back and get your hooks in. The nice thing about what we do, pretty much any position can be turned into, and is turned into, an offensive position. Not just defense, it can be defense as well.
I want to try and get this shoulder to touch the mat if I can. Usually it doesn't happen, but you have to get him to dip enough so that you can get around his shoulder easily, okay? So as I come through, I'm going to do this as a drag. I like trying to get a hold of his sleeve and drag over, or even better, get a hold of his inside of his thumb. And then as I do, you sit up and catch inside and pull down. Once you're over, his hand comes out on the mat and back around. And then you flatten him out. Finish through the shoulder.
All right, there's some points here that he's doing. What he's doing, he's going to be dragging this arm, and eventually he's going to show you where you're going to grab that first leg. But we'll start with this one, okay? So this is a basic way to start it, and we're going to add up to this because we want to control that shoulder a little better. But look how he dragged across, and it's just an arm drag. He's just cross arm there. Now he gets up. Now when he comes over the top, can you guys watch filming? Everybody come around here where you can see. Derek has two things he wants to do. He wants to get this leg out of the way so he can get his hooks in with it. And also, he wants to get his left arm, his other arm, anyway, you got to get his wrist right.
Also,
yeah. So
right here, okay?
Watch this.
Go right through there, okay? Cross, catch it nice and deep in his armpit or on the back of his tricep, and then you're going to continue to pull across like an arm drag. Pop through, okay?
Now, see how he's, look at that. Now watch, look at the body position. Now he's coming out. See how he climbs up?
Okay, come up on your elbow or your forearm, and then base that out. And as you're climbing up over and using your other back foot, okay, pop up and slip that leg back. And then it's an easy take and flatten out, and your hand should be right there for the choke.
Okay, now let's show him to catch that wrist right on the way up too. So watch when he does this, he was focusing on the legs, okay? Now he's going to put, with a wrist ride, as he comes up, look at that left hand, he's going to sink that in,
Bring the arm back
and he's going to, just take that wrist.
So if he posts out, way out there, you can't get the wrist.
You grab his lapel.
So you're going to grab the lapel.
What you're doing is getting an anchor,
right?
Okay?
Right about here, usually, they're like this, or maybe even in a little tighter, okay? And it's a real easy grab. So you're reaching over underneath his armpit, and you're grabbing his forearm on the inside wrist, right? And then you just pull that into his chest, and that gives you a great anchor. And right about there, when you feel that, your knee should be on the mat, and it's an easy kind of windshield wiper pop out and into your first hook, okay? So now, super easy to get that other leg in, and slide your other hand across, palm to palm.
Okay, so it's a good standard like Hadaka Jume situation up there. Nothing wrong with fighting off the bottom because it's a successful position. It works. But I'd rather have top ride.
Yep.
But that way I could get his back. If I can get his back, get my hooks in, bad for him. Yep. Real bad for him. So let's look at it again.
So again, through there, okay? Start the drag, come up, pull down, okay? That gives me the access over his shoulder because it's now dipped. Most of the time they'll end up putting their hand down there. That's why I was saying you try and get the shoulder on the mat, but you don't always get it, okay? So my job now is to reach across and push off with this back leg and just drag this knee across this way as I reach across and try and grab that near inside wrist right, okay? So push across. See how my foot's kind of still poked out there, okay? I catch his wrist and bring that in, and that gives me another anchor point. So now my foot can switch to the hook, pops through, and that near wrist right breaks him down. Arm comes across for the choke, palm to palm, switch across to the
Here's another way to do it. Now that was the basic way, okay, where we did the arm drag, that's good. But now, if he's got a good strong posture, okay, and most guys do. Like if he's a good fighter from here, he's got a good posture. Okay, well Derek's got to break that posture. It's like Kazushi, you break his posture in a throw, same thing here. So a good way to do that is control that shoulder. See it? Go ahead, coach it. Derek.
So he doesn't always give you the lapel because he's got good posture. He knows you're going to try and break him down with the lapel. So we're going to get a piece of his wrist, and then I'm going to come in and catch that pocket right there in front of his armpit. Almost every gi has one unless the thing's painted on him. And that allows me to still move the guy down. So as soon as you get a good reaction from his wrist, that bends enough so that you can pry this sleeve across, and then you just punch that side across there. Okay? That also gives you more access to using this as a base hand. So if you find it really hard to step over the guy, this one will help because this gives you this hand to really pop up there. Okay? You still kind of turn out and push off that back foot and get your knee down. Step across, and this is where you'll have to switch under and catch the wrist right. Okay? Slide it through, flatten him out. Okay, and using the wrist right at this point, his arm is pinned down underneath him and it's easy to flatten him out with the grapevine right onto your forearm if it's sitting there and waiting for him. Okay?
It's one of those things you take it incrementally. You don't do it slow, but you don't do it super fast either. You do it efficiently. You want good, efficient body movement, and that's what we're doing here. Literally, one thing leads to the other. If I know with the steps I want to take, and I know they will lead to the next step. A goes to B, B to C, C to D, on down, and that's what he's doing here. Okay. So again, it's not. A lot of times ground fighting Newaza isn't a fast, it can be explosive, but this is one of those situations where it's probably not real super explosive or fast, but it is efficient. Just be efficient in your movement. If the wrist ride isn't a viable grip, and it might not be, so, again, everything's a handle. So if I can't get his wrist.
Right about here, okay, and I'm trying to come through and get the wrist, and he'll move his arm out to keep it away. You can't reach his wrist. So then you just collapse back and catch his lapel. And you just pull that lapel up into his armpit, right there, and then there's your other hook. Slip through. He might also be smart and straighten his arm out. If you have the initial one and he pops his hand out like that. So I might have even had a piece of it, but he straightens his arm out and I lose the wrist. So instead of like going like this and trying to get it, or even worse doing that, I just collapse back onto his lapel. Okay, and then we're through.
One thing that I note about this is I've got good posture when I'm pinning him. I've got my hands back on his hips, and he's still creating that good Kazushi by off balancing. If you get someone who's already off balance,
show that. That's a good point, Mike. Show this, because some guys are way.
So come on, I really want to pin it like here when I'm in this position, drive down into him, and he's really creating that Kazushi. If you get someone who's lazier or who's not got good posture, it's going to be all the easier.
Yeah, really good point, Mike. That's a really good point. So if the guy is not very skilled or just hasn't been around a while or whatever it may be, and he doesn't have a good base or posture up, and he's just leaning on the guy, and you'll see this a lot. There are a lot more, or he just might be taking you for granted and taking like, oh, this guy isn't much. I'll just make some mistakes. People do that, and that's exactly the bad thing for him to do.
And if he's got his forearms on you like that or his elbows, that's a perfect time to do the arm drag because right through here I can actually reach through and grab fairly easily, okay? So all you have to do then is just move it down into your armpit area and then it's an easy grab and drag across. Whereas when he's up here and his arms are straight and he's putting pressure on your hips, like you're not gonna get your arm up in there and get him to drag down very easily. You'd have to really sit up, and by the time I do this, he's shoving me back down, and then it's just a tug-of-war fight. Okay, so that's why we're playing with his shoulder or his lapel. You can even cross lapel it too if you need to, but generally speaking, when I'm cross lapeling, the guy knows what I'm trying to do. He's sensing a choke or a sweep, and he does everything he can to get that grip free. Whereas I can normally catch through like this fairly easily.
Absolutely correct.
You can still break his posture that way as soon as you get that dip.
But Mike has a really good, there are guys who will, it's just a bad habit.
Yeah,
They've
just
never
get
learned
tired.
it well. They're here, and they think they're safe. Well, that's, it's really not a good thing to think, because it's not safe. There you go. So, it's from bottom back, the back bottom to top right is all it is. Let's drill on this a while, spend a good amount of time drilling on it, working on it. I think it's one of those key skills you need to know in ground fighting.
One of the issues that you might be running into right now is that when you're first trying this move, your hook leg can get caught. So the leg that's going to be dragging up underneath them can sometimes get caught over there, or you find it hard to insert it completely in as you're going over. And some people, like Jake, who have really long legs, just go straight into the body triangle, and that's fine, but you also need to kind of get used to using your hooks, because sometimes they don't give you the body triangle. Sometimes in certain rule formats it's illegal. So there are easier ways to go ahead and get your foot in there, and we're going to play with some of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our same drag that we had before.
He's just doing it opposite side. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I'm switching over on this side so you can see what I'm going to do with my foot here in a second, because this is the one that usually gets caught. So okay, I pop him down and I drag and then I punch down and I come across, and you get caught like right about here, and you're way off center from his back, and you can't get your hook in, and you start trying to drag your hook and you can't do it. So then you kind of post up here and you finally get right about here, and then he runs away, or he breaks one of your posts down, and then now we're back here again. Okay, so a lot of people get kind of caught in there and they're like, I don't like this move, it's not meant for me. So ways to do that are to basically cheat your hook in. If you're good at doing butterfly, you'll already be there. Okay, some guys are pretty good at doing half butterfly. That's usually how I pull this off. But if you're not quite there yet, you can cheat that one hook in. And the way we do that is by being kind of pushy with this foot that usually gets caught. So what I'm going to do is right about here, I'm going to pop on my hip, and I'm just going to put my foot there and push. Okay, so if you're not all that bendy, okay, what we're going to do is you're going to put your foot in his hip, and you're just going to push a little bit. Okay. And as soon as you're right about there, that foot can now slip in and hook, okay? So there's my first hook, okay, then I'm gonna drag, there's my post, and you can see the hook is now right in there. I'm gonna switch it over on that foot, and that gives me an anchor now on the near side leg, okay? So post, anchor, post, okay? Up and over, catch the near side wrist ride, hook in, flatten him out, finish the choke.
And also, guys, Jake, he mentioned you because, we're tall guys. We have long legs. My preference is to go to the hip. And now, it depends on you. Try them both to see what you like. But if you can put your foot, to me, jamming in the hip is better for me because my legs are so long. And that works a little better for me, just as an aside. So if you have shorter legs, it might not be a problem. Yeah, that foot right, that's foot right here. So if I just can't really get down lower, and because my legs are so long that you really can't, jam that hip. And I found that it's a good control point, controlling his hips there. But again, it's preference to you. You might want to go further down, like Derek was showing, down there. You're still going to get that push, and you still want to create that base so you can go for it. So that's the only thing I'd say about long-legged guys.
The lower it is, the easier it is to make some space, and then to bring your hook in, okay? If you're up on the hip, you have to be a little bit more pushy about this and really push to make some space. Most of the time it pushes you, not him, but that still counts, and you bring that hook in there, you get your hook, and then drag, okay? And then immediately switch your foot over. So it was there, now it's gonna come over here and anchor on his ankle or his lower shin, okay? Post, step up and around, and you can see how now I can base off of those toes right there, or put my knee down, hook. If he starts blocking with his elbow or his knee, okay, you pull this up, and then your hook comes in, finish the grapevine. Now if you're a little bit better about getting your single butterfly hook in, okay, you can still do the same exact thing without having to push.
Everybody see that one knee in? Okay. So I mean, that's a good starting position. That's why a lot of guys use it, because it works. Your legs have proper position. It really is.
Looks like once you get that foot in, you've got to pull that drag really fast. Otherwise
Oh,
you start all
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
space.
this isn't something that you're gonna hang out there for a while, guys. As soon as you get an inside hook with it, unless the majority of your game revolves around having a single butterfly hook, you need to be doing something with that, because as soon as I get this, Mike's not a dummy. Even if I have this, he's passing over, and now it becomes a half guard game. So as soon as this is there, and that's one of the reasons why I hook on this side, is as he starts trying to push and step over, this still gives you some control. So if I immediately go through here, this is half guard. I mean, he's gonna be over in a blink of an eye. I might still be able to get the drag and beat him to it, but 9 times out of 10, when you go immediately for the anchor, he's stepping around into half. So if you keep it here, you can actually kind of use your shin and that foot to keep him out. And this is what keeps it from being more of a half guard situation. It also gives you a little time, so as he starts pushing that down, I've now pulled him down and completed the drag, okay?
You're partially locking this leg here so he can't shove his knee through quite as easily.
Right, so I'm blocking this way. So if I just kind of come down here, so if I pushed through and I made space, and then once I inserted the hook, I just went directly to that anchor leg, that's it, he's past it.
He's stuck in, yeah.
Drag doesn't really help all too much, okay? Of course you're punching me in the face. Okay, whereas if this is here, this isn't going to last all day, but this gives him something that he has to deal with before he steps over into half. And while he's dealing with that, I'm dragging and switching over to this side, okay? And that anchor is gonna give me something that if he does start trying to maybe pull in this base hand, okay, or get this hook, this near wrist right out, so he comes through there, I've got something that I'm anchored to back here. So I can sit back and maybe switch over into more of a lapel, okay, or a double lapel, break them down that way and come in with your other hook.
Can you show that fairly normal speed? So here we just look normal speed, guys. Michelle. Good. Gain more control. The old saying, get the position, control the position, get the submission. That's exactly what we're going for. And always trying to gain more and more control incrementally as you move on. That's in ground fighting especially. The idea is to keep gaining more ground, just like a ground war the soldiers, fighting the real war, or football, you want a ground game. You want to gain more yardage, and that's what we're doing here. Yeah. So, all right, let's drill on. Go get it.